Nalazim se u Los Angelesu gde sam prihvatila jednu posebnu dužnost da informišem našu javnost o tome kako u stvari funkcioniše muzička industrija u Americi. Negde oko 2 godine, oko 2 godine, započela sam inicijativu da se u Jugoslaviji izvrši reforma muzičke industrije, do tada poznate kao estrada, zbog toga što je funkcionisanje naše muzičke industrije krajnje haotično, neregulisano, bez poštovanja zakona i pravila koja se u svetu profesionalnog entertainment biznisa veoma poštuju. Na Los Angeleski aerodrom LAX dnevno sleće na stotine talentovanih ljudi sa željom da okuša sreću u svetskom centru entertainment biznisa, u prevodu biznisa zabave. Amerika je začela globalni show biznis i najdalje otišla u njegovom razvijanju. Već više decenija ova grana industrije po profitu koji generiše zauzima jedno od prva 3 mesta. Nikakvo čudo da je struktura poslovanja izuzetno složena, zakoni i esnafske organizacije mnogobrojni, a sve to uokvireno duhom tvrdokorne korporativne Amerike. Marketing i propaganda su, bežeći od umetnosti, stvorili takozvanu mas kulturu. Muzika je postala produkt, kao i automobil. Servirat će vam se sa velikom šarenom mašnom da slučajno ne primetite njen sadržaj. Muzičarima preostaje da se bore za svoju umetnost, a moćnicima da smišljaju načine da najefikasnije iskoriste slabosti ljudske prirode. Odvršću vas u posetu kod Don Griersona, jednog od nekolicine onih za koje se kaže da su alfa i omega muzičke industrije Amerike. Iako ih ne vidimo na ekranima i ne čujemo na radio talasima, stručnjaci poput njega odlučuju šta ulazi u naše uši i mozgove. Za ime Don Griersona vezuju se imena kao što su The Beatles, Little River Band, Sheena Easton, Kim Carnes, Kate Bush, Kenny Rogers, Heart, Joe Cocker, Steve Vai, Megadeth, Tina Turner, Bob Seger, Duran Duran, Motels, Bill Squire, Poison, Great White, Iron Maiden, Celine Dion, Cyndi Lauper, Gloria Estefan, lista je beskonačna. Would you explain to us what is your personal role in the music industry?
Well, I've been in it a long time, and primarily up until a few years ago, I worked for major corporations. I worked for Capital EMI for about 15 years, and I was head of A&R. Well, actually longer, and I was head of A&R for almost 15 years, responsible for the signing and the development of the artists making the records.
So you're the main person for an artist.
When
we come to you,
looking for a deal.
Exactly. When we come to you, you are the one that holds our destiny in your hands, right?
That's true. I can say yes or no.
Yes, you are a little god.
I also spent 5 years in New York as head of A&R for Epic, Sony Epic.
Yes. In corporate business, A&R people are pretty scared of signing a new deal since they know that they might be losing their position if the artist is not successful. So they shy away from signing new deals and signing new artists in order to preserve their position. Is that true?
I think today that's very much the case.
Okay.
And I think they're also very scared or afraid of signing any type of an artist that's not really trendy, that fits the mold of the day. Where my prime years as a head of A&R departments, which was primarily the late 70s and all the 80s into the early 90s, there was more flexibility in the signing process in companies. There was more willingness to develop artists, where if you believed in an artist and they didn't have that big hit single on the first album, but you were able to start the process through marketing and promotion and touring, whatever. And then the second album did a little better, and maybe it was the third album that had the bigger hit, and all of a sudden they became big stars. Today, in America, It's very much driven by the corporate bottom line. The big companies are all controlled by corporations. And in turn, they're worried about the financial ramifications, the bottom line. So it's all about dollars. And artists have to sell quickly, and or they're forgotten and they're dropped, and they go on to the next one. So yes, I think A&R people are very scared, very nervous about things because they could lose their job very quickly.
Exactly.
But it's sad. It's sad.
Yes, it is. And basically that's what creates what we call today mass culture that does not really have originality, does not have creativity that much. You mentioned in our earlier conversation that there is a trend of switching the attention of the record labels to the different profile of the audience, which is getting a little the target group of the listeners is moving towards the older age. Is that what you?
Well, the demographics are changing, and from the research that I've seen, and it's being talked about more and more, and you're seeing stories and articles in the paper about this, that the biggest audience now is what we call the middle markets, about 25 to 50, which is the audience that has the most money. But the problem is they're the adults, and they have other things to concern themselves with in their life, families, mortgages, all of those things. So they don't run to the record store the minute they hear a record that they like. But they do buy. And the key and the challenge, and there's not enough of it done by the major labels because they're looking for the quick return, is to find artists that fit that demographic, and then the labels to have the patience, and they have to be willing to spend some money to find ways to put that type of an artist in front of that type of an audience.
Who were the people that you have managed to get out there?
Well, I suppose the first act that became a major artist that I signed, I didn't sign them when they were unknown. They were signed to EMI in Australia, and I was at Capitol at the time, and I signed them to Capitol, and it was Little River Band. So they became a major artist and sold millions and millions of records. I've been really lucky in the sense that I've either signed or worked with artists. I love voices. I'm a great fan of a great voice and a great song. And when you put the two together, we know that's when magic happens. And I've worked with, Anne Murray, Tina Turner, Joe Cocker, Ann Wilson and Hart, Steve Miller, Celine Dion, Gloria Estefan. I mean, I've had the fortune to be able to work with them in some capacity. A lot of times I've found songs for them that have actually become successful. In fact, this guitar that's beside you is a guitar that was given to me by Cheap Trick.
Yes, but I was told that you are the one who is actually the person who deserves all the credits for Tina Turner's comeback?
No.
No?
I was part of it, but I did not sign her. She was on the label at Capitol, signed when I went. I was at a Capitol subsidiary called EMI America, where I signed Sheena Easton, and I worked with signed Jake Giles, signed Kim Carnes. We bought the label with Kenny Rogers and had all the big success with Kenny Rogers. Then I moved back. The corporate body moved me back to Capitol to be head of A&R for Capitol, and Tina was on the label. Her manager, who still is the manager, is Roger Davies. And I knew Roger from years before. He used to manage Olivia Newton-John. And Roger came in to me and said, and I'd only been back at the company at Capitol, because I came from Capitol before going to EMI. He said, we've got Tina on the label. Nobody here knows what to do with her. I have an idea. Would you okay it? He said, I want to take her to England. I want the budget to do 2 songs with a production company called Heaven 17. And I want to release a single in Europe because that's the strongest base we have for Tina. And he said, nobody here knows what to do with it. Is that okay with you? And I said, it makes a lot of sense to me. And you have a belief here. Let's try it. It was a reasonable budget. So I gave him the okay. He went to England, and they cut, let's get together.
I have to interrupt you here. I didn't even know that our lives are connected somehow. At that time, where Tina Turner was working on her demos in England, I was working with Alan Darby, who was actually the musician that was hired to work with her.
Really?
Yes, and I did an album with Alan Darby that was produced by Bill Drescher here, Rick Springfield's producer. That was my songs. That were some of my songs. But
we are
there is a connection.
We're soulmates.
Yes. Oh, well, a little connection there. But,
So, just to complete that story,
Yeah.
that single was released in Europe, in England,
Yes.
and became a giant hit.
Okay.
The imports came into America and they started being played in the clubs. We had to release it here, so all of a sudden Tina Turner's back with Let's Get Together, and we didn't have an album. So then we had to make an album very quickly. So an A&R person who had actually worked with Tina as a producer, who worked for me at Capitol, he recorded 3 songs with her. We hired Terry. Roger brought in Terry Britton in England because he'd worked with Terry before, and Rupert Hine.
yes.
And out of that album came, out of those sessions came Private Dancer, which became unbelievably successful album, and you know, completely turned Tina's career
Yes.
around, and she became the queen that she deserves to
And
be.
she is, yes,
Oh, she's
definitely. The ultimate.
classic lady.
The ultimate. The
Classic.
ultimate of all.
On
yes.
every level.
I adore that.
Every level.
Yeah.
Lovely lady.
Exactly. On every level. I totally agree with you. How important is the promotion and marketing?
It's crucial, because if you
What
don't
do
do
record
that,
labels do on that, in
Well,
regards to that?
it's unfortunate that in the process of what happens, a lot of artists get lost because they get pushed to the side. Each week, labels make their priorities of what they think they can do the best with. And it's usually driven by what they think they can get on radio. So they have their priority records that they work. Once a label makes a commitment to a record, they're willing to spend a lot of money. Hopefully they're right. If not, they lose a lot of money.
Yeah. How much money would the record label spend? Is that a
Then,
limit,
as
or
against
is
today, considerable money then today can be millions.
millions?
On an artist that's known or unknown. By the time you sign them, record them, tour support if they're unknown.
And tour support is also done by the record labels.
It's
in
recoupable against
America.
any royalties due back to the artist.
Even American labels are charging the artists for the recording
Oh,
expenses.
that's common here. Yes.
That's common.
Yes. that's-
Unless you're a star, then you
You
get.
can bring in an album that you record yourself, and if the label buys it, they'll pay you for it.
They pay you for
Yes.
it.
But then they won't pay you royalties on sales until they have recouped that amount of money.
Exactly.
Yes.
But in Yugoslavia, we have a practice where musicians come in and they bring not only the complete product, but they also pay the record label to release the album. And there are no criteria whether the record is going to be sellable or not, as long as you pay the company for it.
We've had that here. Small labels, often in Nashville, you pay us this, we'll get the record released. That we always say, don't ever do that, because in this country, that's not the way to do it.
Something has to change there.
Well, I think the industry has to address their own problems. They're overpaying for so much.
Exactly.
You know, every time a producer gets hot because he's cut a couple of hits, he's getting all of his money up front. He wants all the money up front, then royalties later. But they're overpaying they're spending $300,000 and $400,000 on a video for an unknown artist that may or may not get on MTV.
Exactly.
I mean, we've lost control of our own business destiny. And then we have what we call independent promotion here, which is, some people call it payola.
Yeah.
It's legal because they've done all the paperwork and everything,
Yes.
but it's costing the industry, up until recently when they've started to cut back on it, they were saying it cost the industry about $150 million a year just to promote records through independents to radio stations. Well, who writes the checks for that money? The record companies. So
Yes.
they can say no. Trouble is they're scared. They're scared that if they don't pay, then their records somehow won't get on the radio,
Right.
because that independent person has control of the radio
Oh,
station.
the radio station.
So we've got this trick bag.
Yeah, exactly.
But they have to stop this.
It's still, yeah, go ahead.
They
I'm
have to
sorry.
stop. And Universal, the number
Yes,
one
yes.
corporate major label here, they have just recently said that they're cutting back all promotion costs 50%.
Yes.
So the industry is now starting to do this, and it's got to come way back, because it's money that's just being thrown out there. every week,
Right,
and it's
right.
amazing how much
But
money.
it's also almost like racketeering what these independents are doing to the record labels. Almost.
It is.
If you don't pay, oh yeah,
You know.
okay. But you know what? I'm also thinking, being an artist myself, I always see everything from my perspective, of course. And I think that too much promotion and marketing have killed the originality, have killed the artist's creativity.
But I don't
Form.
think that's the problem of marketing and promotion.
Mhm.
It's the choices that they make to spend their marketing and promotion money on. The labels are playing it very safe. And so Britney Spears breaks, then they want a lot of Britney Spears, and they spend an enormous amount of money marketing and promoting the same,
Yes,
as
but-
against
but-
looking for unique artists
Right,
and
but the
spending
unique
that.
artists, instead of being themselves, now are adjusting. That's what I'm trying to say.
Some.
Yeah, because I was a witness here in Los Angeles when during the time of Van Halen, every band sounded like Van Halen. Then we had the Guns N' Roses era. Then everybody sounded like Guns N' Roses. Then we had the Seattle scene, and everybody sounded like Seattle. And now we have Korn, and everybody else was sounding like Korn.
We're like sheep.
Exactly.
We just follow
So,
it.
but that I see that the record labels are making a mistake because there's only one or two spots in the same kind of music for two artists, not more than three, maybe.
You've seen the problem,
Yes, of course.
and they should see it.
But
their
that's why I'm
business.
trying to be original, but nobody cares about that because record labels are still acting in the same
I know.
way.
It is a big problem. It is.
Right.
I truly believe that.
Right. But how would you see the future of the music industry in regards to internet and the problems that we have with Napster, MP3, and the protection of intellectual rights, and all the other problems that we have besides what we've spoken about?
In general, I have faith that smart business and logic and common sense will prevail and will solve the problems of the internet in some way, where music should not be free unless you, the artist, or other record company say, we want you to have this for nothing. Nothing in life is free. You pay for it, right? As long as it's a fair price. And people will pay a fair price. The trouble is, through Napster and then the others that followed, most of the kids in this country think music can be available free, and it is. Click,
Yes.
there it is.
Exactly.
That will change. I think slowly you're seeing changes. The industry is fighting it. They haven't done a very good job of it.
Yeah.
But slowly, I think through logic and law, and it will change.
And a couple of lawsuits.
And we'll get that, yes. Well, we've got to have lawsuits. That's how America works.
Exactly.
You know, we've got to sue somebody here.
Yeah. The government does not get involved in the way the record labels are doing their business.
Only when you get into explicit lyrics. We've had controversy about the lyrics on records, and so they have these stickers now saying explicit
Right.
lyrics.
Exactly. But it seems to be much easier since there is such an incredible amount of talent. And how many tapes have you gotten daily? You know, I signed a pre-production deal with EMI that I canceled at one point because there was a clause that I didn't like. My lawyer didn't like. I will tell you about that later. But when I got into the office of their A&R director, he showed me bags, literally, trash bags, full of cassettes at that time. And he just told me he never listens to that. He
And
just doesn't have
if
the
he's a
time.
good A&R person, he doesn't have the time.
Exactly.
And I've been there, I know.
Yes.
And I've been on seminars and things like that when you get people saying, how do I get people to listen to my tape? You know, why won't you listen to my tape? And in a general sense, you're working with the artists you already have signed. That's your first responsibility. You've got company business that you must take care of. You've got to promote your artists within your own company. You're out looking at acts that are of interest to you, or there's a buzz on, or whatever. You only have so many hours in the day.
Exactly.
And then everybody expects you to spend your time listening to their tape. Well, that's okay if you have time. But when you have all these tapes, and you have a manager that you know is in the business, or an attorney, or an agent, somebody that you know should know better, send in something at least good, you listen to them first.
Exactly.
And if somebody in some little town in the Midwest sends you in a tape, you have no idea, good, bad, or indifferent, who it is or what it is. It goes into that bag, and it sits there.
And there's hundreds of them a day,
Thousands
or
of
thousands of them per day.
Everybody has a tape.
You see,
everybody has
globally,
it.
everybody's
Globally.
sending it
I
to
know.
you, to your office.
Yes.
That's
I
incredible.
know, and unfortunately, and I feel bad because I do believe in the challenge that an artist has to go through, and I feel for them in the sense that I couldn't do it. Struggle to be successful as an artist. It's a tough one.
In order to make the record label productive, what do you think, in your experience actually, what would be the average number of acts signed in, let's say, one field of music?
Well, the bigger labels have anything from 50, 75 to 150, 200 acts signed. Now, you know, a Universal,
annually.
a corporation, no, not necessarily new acts, but with acts that are on the label for a while and
so
others, because they drop acts as well as sign acts.
Right.
But a Universal, for example, a major corporation, has a lot of different labels.
Yeah.
How many acts they have collectively is probably more than that. But when you think of all of the artists out there that are knocking on your door in one form or another every day, it's not many. You know, and most A&R people would only sign 2, 3, or 4 a year, 5 a year maybe.
Yeah.
You know.
What is your estimate? How much the record industry in America generates annually?
The figures that I've seen is that it's in the area of $12 billion a year in the U.S. And I think it's something like 32 or 34 billion around the world. It's considerable.
So to the government, this industry is very, very important.
There's a lot of taxes on that, yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So there has to be a way to influence the government when it comes to dealing with our questions, right?
Well, there are times when the industry goes to the government trying to get things changed. The artists want to have laws changed. The industry doesn't want them changed. You get those kind of, you can have your day in court, so to speak.
Yeah,
there
but
is
you
a
have
process.
to lobby for your
Yes, yeah,
problem,
that's
right?
That's
Yes.
what you have to do. You have to lobby.
Yes.
You know, but there, at least it's not perfect by a long shot. But at least there's a process here that you can do that.
Right. But there's always a record label who has more money to lobby for their interest than the artist, right?
Always
Exactly. So we cannot win.
Well,
Us
never
musicians.
say never.
Of course. We're going to turn this whole thing around, and we're going to have rainbow politicians, you know, those ones that...
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Oh, yes.
No
we're
wars. Oh, it'd be perfect. Just like that. Everybody treated equal.
to go back to what you're doing at the moment, are there any pending projects that you're working on at the moment?
Well, there's one that I'm about to start with Mr. Boro Vukadinovic from Serbia, Bosnia. He's produced a film that is in post-production now, and I'm going to work with him on the music supervision. I've known Boro. I've worked with him on a project before.
And I'm going to be a music consultant with.
So we are going to be working together.
Yeah. I wish you a lot of luck in your further endeavors, and of course, thank you for not only for the interview, but thank you for bringing out all the artists and promoting them and giving them a chance in the world so that we can enjoy.
That's the easy part. I mean, having a love for music and a love for great music and artists, that is, I mean, what better job could there be?
Don Grierson je veoma vešto izbegao odgovor na pitanje o plasiranju istočnoevropskih umetnika na zapadno tržište. Kao stručnjak od enormnog ugleda u protekle 4 decenije 20. veka, možda je mogao i možda bi mogao da učini i više da globalno selo ne bude samo američko globalno selo. Stekla sam utisak da je izuzetno kvalitetna ličnost što se retko ili nikada ne sreće u našem biznisu. I dobro je što se i sam gnuša šip mentaliteta ili kulture ovaca, kako je sam definisao. On je ipak počeo sa začetnicima bunta i rock'n'roll slobode i dobitnik je Golden Apple Award od samih Beatlesa, koji je uspešno promovisao i lansirao njihovu diskografsku kuću Apple Records. Čelnici muzičke industrije svojom biznis dogmatikom i predrasudama i sami predstavljaju oličenje mentaliteta ovaca, dok druge ovce, to jest nas, pomno eksploatišu. Izmisli svoja pravila ili budi porobljen tuđim. Ali kako ćemo saznati šta je sloboda? Možda se i ovčice dok bleje osjećaju slobodnim. Uostalom, neka korporativno carstvo samo propadne. Nije mu potreban balkanski individualizam da mu u padu pomogne. Ja želim da i dalje verujem u napredak čovečanstva i sajber civilizacije. Jer ovo je priča i o mojim snovima u opasnom gradu Hollywoodu kojim šetaju seksualno poludeli, drogom i alkoholom opijeni, manje ili više talentovani ludaci, kako reče Crowley. Mnogi snovi ostaju tamo gde se i sanjaju, u našim glavama. Ipak, mnogi od nas ostaju zauvek rešeni da ih ostvare. Hollywood njegovi stanovnici zovu svakakvim imenima. Crazywood, grad ludaka ili luda šuma, Heavywood po heavy metalu, Holy Weird, Holy uvrnuti, Holy Wild, Holy divlji i tako dalje. Po ulicama ovog dela Los Angelesa šeta se i vozi najrazličitiji svet. Heavy metal thunder Hollywoodu svako ima svoju agendu.